Alrighty, good morning, Miss Hawkins class. So, this lesson is called Building a Nation with Words and Ideas. It's Tuesday's lesson for week 3. So, Benjamin Franklin enjoyed the company of another patriot, Thomas Jefferson, from Virginia. Jefferson was often the youngest person in the room when the founders met in Philadelphia, whereas Franklin was the oldest. Like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson was always ready to serve his country, but the place he most liked to be was home, with his family. When Thomas Jefferson was a young lawyer, he started building a house close to the farm where he grew up in Virginia. Built on a hill, he called it Monticello, which means the little mountain in Italian. He worked on it for many years before, during, and after the war. Jefferson traveled in Europe and brought back many ideas from France and Italy. Because of Monticello and some other buildings he designed, Jefferson was called the father of American architecture. Architecture refers to the design of buildings, or the way buildings look, I guess. In fact, Jefferson was one of the people who worked on the design of Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson liked to invent things for his house. He invented a pulley system that opened doors and a mechanical clock that kept track of the days of the week. He also invented a dumbwaiter, a shelf that could be piled high with food dishes, raised from the kitchen downstairs up to the dining room, then lowered back down with empty dishes when the meal was over. I would love to have a dumbwaiter, then I don't have to do dishes. What about you? What's your least favorite chore? So, Thomas Jefferson was one of the most important writers in the colonies. Remember, he was the author of the Declaration of Independence? Because he wrote so many important papers and letters, he wanted to be able to make copies for himself. That's a good idea. So Jefferson invented the first ever copy machine, which we see here. As he wrote at his desk, a second pen was automatically writing the same thing beside him. He also invented a lap desk that he could carry with him on horseback, holding all of his paperwork and office tools, so that he could continue his work away from home. So a lap desk is sort of like a backpack or a laptop computer. After the Continental Convention and the election of George Washington as the country's first president, Thomas Jefferson returned to Virginia to work on Monticello. When he was not at Monticello, often he was representing his country, sharing his ideas both in America and Europe. So we have George Washington here, Thomas Jefferson's right here. We're going to learn about this guy right now. George Washington served as President of the United States for 8 years. When he retired to Mount Vernon, which was George Washington's home, another one of the founding fathers named John Adams, which is this guy, took his place, becoming America's second president. Thomas Jefferson became John Adams' vice president. A vice president is sort of like a second in command. 4 years later, Thomas Jefferson became our nation's third president. In 8 years that he was president, he did many things to help help the young nation grow. And one of the things that Thomas Jefferson believed in most was public education. He realized how fortunate he had been having the chance to attend excellent schools all his life, but he knew that not everybody could afford to do so. Perhaps Jefferson's greatest project was planning for a public college in his state of Virginia. He designed the building, chose the subjects to be taught, and raised money to build the University of Virginia. The university was built on a friend's farm just down the hill from Monticello, so that Jefferson could watch the building being built. And this is the building he built. And then over time, people have added on to the University of Virginia. If you want, you can go look it up. Thomas Jefferson died on the afternoon of July 4th, 1826, just hours before the death of his friend, John Adams. The second and third President of the United States died on the 15th anniversary of Independence Day. Like George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson was remembered in many ways today. Some of our nickels or 5-cent coins have a picture of Jefferson on it on the other side of them, and a picture of a domed building on the other. Can you guess what the domed building is? It even has the name right there. It's Monticello. That's so cool. Alrighty, everybody. So I want you to think about it. Jefferson is called the father of architecture. So what did he design? Describe one of Thomas Jefferson's inventions and come up with an invention of your own. And then why was public or free education important to Thomas Jefferson? All right, go check out the craft video after this.